Hi everybody and welcome to Hard Ass Reviews, and today I'm talking about flagships, flagship phones, and who are they really for in real world terms. Now all the time we keep hearing about flagship phones, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 that has just been and gone, the iPhone 7, but who are these phones really for? Now I listen to reviews time and time again, and all the time reviewers will name check their favourite flagships, and every time they say, oh well, my daily driver at the moment is the iPhone 7, my daily driver at the moment is the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Now most of us won't get those phones because most of us take out, let's say, yearly to 2 yearly contracts. Now, on those contracts, that doesn't mean that if you get a phone, I mean, phones are released roughly every 3 months. Every 3 months, you'll get a new wave of new handsets. Mid-range, entry-level, flagship. Now, you can't afford to keep buying a phone every 3 months, though some of us would, but generally, if you want to use it as your daily driver, you will take out a 2-year contract and you will get a phone and you will use that phone. Now, time and time again, we hear about flagships, and all the reviewers name-check flagships, and they recommend flagships. Now, that kind of annoys me, because I think, well, most of us don't need a flagship phone for our daily use. Now, the phone I use at the moment is the Sony Xperia Z5 Compact, which is a fantastic phone. It's not considered a flagship phone because it only has a 4.6-inch screen. It's a smaller phone. But then again, there was a time, you go back 3 years ago, when a 4.6-inch screen would have been considered massive. But it's this strange evolution now where we need to have 5.5-inch phones. 5.5-inch phones are extremely difficult to carry. They're certainly difficult to carry in your back pocket. And to be honest, a lot of the time they're very difficult to carry in an inside pocket of your jacket. And that's even with a case on or a case off. They're difficult to carry. They're difficult to manoeuvre, certainly one-handed, where a 4-inch screen, a 4.5-inch screen is still large enough to navigate in one hand. The iPhone 6 is a 4.7-inch screen, and that's perfectly fine. Yet, when I listen to reviews, and reviewers they'll say, oh, they'll do their top 5s, they always put a flagship at the top, or when they recommend phones for people to get, they'll say, oh, I know, we'll have a smackdown between the iPhone 6S Plus against the iPhone 6. And then they'll recommend, they'll say, oh, well, in my opinion, I'd get the iPhone 6S Plus. Not 6S Plus, sorry, the iPhone 6 Plus. Now, that's a bit obvious. That's absolutely obvious, but it doesn't necessarily make any sense, really, because they're just going for the larger phone. And as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, size isn't everything. It really isn't, and it's not everything with a phone. Sony Xperia get that right with their compact range. So the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact, Z3 Compact, Z5 Compact have strong enough specs to match flagships, yet they have small screens, because not everybody wants a bloody large phone. We've got this thing now where everybody wants a large phone. Everybody's carrying around these silly phones. People with small hands are carrying around massive phones. People with large hands are carrying around massive phones. When, to be honest, it doesn't make any sense. Not everybody watches YouTube, not everybody watches Netflix. And not everybody wants to do those 24 hours a day or when they're on the move. And with the fact that public Wi-Fi generally, now I'm speaking to you from the UK, is not very reliable at all. Really, a flagship phone is only relevant to a small amount of people, which is mainly techies. People who want to see the latest innovations in tech, and the way they're going to experience that is through acquiring a flagship phone. Now, last week I came across my first iPhone 7. Was it an iPhone 7 Plus? I think it was an iPhone 7. I can't remember whether it was a 7 or a 7 Plus. It might have been just an iPhone 7. Now, this device was over £800. It was £820. That was second hand, by the way. £820. Now you're thinking, well, who's going to pay for that? Who's going to buy that? And who's going to use that? Because what I always recommend to people is you tailor the phone to yourself. Tailor the phone to your use, what you use it for. Don't just get a phone just because everybody else has got a phone. Because you get an iPhone 7 and you do Facebook on it. In order to replace the iPhone 6 Plus that you had previously, which you did Facebook on it. And then before that you had an iPhone 5S that you did Facebook on. Now, it's a large expense, it's a huge expense just to basically do exactly what you did on your last phone. Now, in real-world terms, specs don't matter to most people, so dual-core processors, octa-core processors, hexa-core processors won't matter a jot to most people who use their phones. Certainly not whilst they're using Facebook. So flagships are okay for techies, but I don't think it's necessarily okay to recommend flagships. So constantly, you constantly on YouTube, all the top reviewers, I won't mention their names, but they all recommend flagships. They say, well, it's easy for them to carry flagships. A lot of these flagships, these reviewers, because they have almost 500,000 subscribers or even more, will be given demo handsets, and they will acquire these handsets quite easily because of their subscriber base. But genuine people who will pick up their phones today and use their phones today don't need to be carrying around an iPhone 7. They don't need to be carrying around an iPhone 7. So they could play, you could say, oh, well, they may want to play games on it. Well, they could play games on it. They could play those same games on an iPhone 6. You could pick up iPhone 6s now, second-hand, as I said, I'm talking from the UK, for around £315. £340 in excellent condition. Now, that is a fraction of £820 that you'd pay for a previously owned iPhone 7 or iPhone 7 Plus. So I'm all for tailoring the phone to yourselves. I don't know what you all think. Leave your comments. Subscribe to my channel. I try to do lots of reviews. I'm coming from the area of phones that are suitable for the blind and partially sighted. I used to diss fingerprint scanners, but I have to say, fingerprint scanners now, I'm starting to see a relevance to fingerprint scanners, certainly for the blind or partially sighted. I have, as I say, a Sony Xperia Z5 Compact, and that has a fingerprint scanner that is absolutely fantastic because you can pay for things with your fingerprint scanner, and you can unlock your phone in about a second with your fingerprint scanner, and that's quite good because if you want to secure your phone and you're blind or partially sighted, and it's always going to be a little difficult, not necessarily difficult, but a little cumbersome to be typing out a password or it's a 6-digit password for Apple, and it's a 6-digit password. I think it's a 6-digit password just generally. Yeah, I think it's a 6-digit password for Android, and it's a 4-digit password on my Lumia handset, which is a Lumia 650. So to secure your phones can be a little cumbersome if you're blind and partially sighted and you want to secure your phone especially. So a fingerprint scanner is ideal. So I apologise for dissing fingerprint scanners, but I think there is some use. I certainly don't think it's any need to pay £800 plus in order to acquire a fingerprint scanner, because fingerprint scanners now come on phones for less than half that price now. The top line of the new Moto G 4th generation contains a fingerprint scanner, so you can pick up phones. The Huawei Honor series, fingerprint scanners. So you can acquire fingerprint scanners, so you don't have to pay £800. So I believe you should tailor phones to your needs. Tailor them to your needs, and you will save yourself a lot of money, and you will end up with a very, very workable and attractive phone. But unfortunately, sometimes you can get sheep, whether it's Android sheep or Apple sheep, or these phones get released and then people want them. Half the time they don't know why they want them, but they just acquire them, and then they hardly use them, or they just use it for social networking. when you're thinking, well, that was a huge waste of money. You know, you're buying a phone which will cost you, in UK terms, maybe £45 a month on a contract subscription, or even more than that if you're wanting to get an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus on contract. But you're talking £45, £50 a month, just so you can do Facebook on it. So I'm very passionate about tailoring phones to your needs. So tell me what you think. Tell me what flagships you pay attention to. Tell me what phone you use. And I'll speak to you all very soon. So take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Until the next time.